Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'm Niko Tamurian, joined as always by my partner in crime, Najee Moye. Najee, Seattle's feeling pretty good this week.
Seattle is feeling pretty good this week, especially after it's crazy how the weather works and how the Seahawks kind of.
You know, I love the weather.
The weather is great. Okay, say what you will about the Pacific Northwest. We're all getting into rainy season. This week is beautiful. Last week was not beautiful on many fronts.
I'm hoping as the weather is beautiful earlier this week, and we know it's going to be turning to cold and rain this weekend. I'm hoping that's not what happens with the Seahawks.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think honestly, we may have turned a corner. Weather-wise and Seahawks-wise,
well,
as far as last week to this week, definitely.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, Atlanta's a very good team. To beat them the way that they did by 3 touchdowns, It's impressive.
It's impressive on the road across country. The defense, I'm so impressed with the defense. Yeah. Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. The Falcons are a great team on paper and in real life, honestly, with a lot of stars. And honestly, the defense really showed up when they needed to.
Yeah,
it was very important.
And I think that when you look at that.
And I'm happy to be wrong.
Right? Yes. Well, I'm hoping, but here's what I'm hoping is what has been happening lately, okay? We know the defense was ravaged. Obviously, all 4 defensive linemen were out for that Lions game.
Yeah.
And then that started a brutal stretch of 3 games in 10 days.
Right.
So maybe, okay, you have injuries. I think the Lions maybe exposed some things that the Giants and then the Niners maybe took advantage of.
Sure.
Then Mike McDonald has this mini bye. Maybe they've sorted things out. They're certainly as healthy as they've been defensively, perhaps all season, at least up front. We're waiting to see on Reek Willen and whatnot. So we're hoping that's the sign of things going forward. But I'll tell you what, Naj, when it comes down to it, everybody's pumped about this win over Atlanta, and that's great. But the NFL, it's what have you done for me lately? And the good vibes could go away quickly if you follow it home, even if it is to a really good team. That's why I just want to get right to it because we're diving into it now. It's time to meet the opponent. And when we're doing this, we're bringing on one of my favorite people out there. I love this guy. We're going to bring him up on the screen here. Sal Capaccio, the Buffalo Bills sideline reporter. Sal and I go way back, and one of those full circle moments for right now, the fact that he's on the KOMO Sports End Zone with me. Sal, how's it going, man?
Oh, man, doing great. Great to see you, my man. Still, doing our thing out here while you're doing your great thing out there. I'm so proud of you to see you out there and representing Orange Nation as a proud Syracuse fan out in Washington as well.
Sal, you'd be surprised how often I see an Otto sweatshirt or I get a Go Orange or something like that.
I love it.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. But boy, and right back at you, you've been kind of the role model for not just me, but a lot of sportscasters out there. So it's been awesome to see you thriving constantly and being my source for Bills information for sure. I couldn't be more happy for everything you've accomplished as well, my man.
Well, I appreciate that. And listen, here's the thing. Literally where I'm sitting, this is my house, my studio, right? I call it Studio Capaccio. About 5 blocks behind me is your alma mater, Buffalo State University. Now they call it.
Wow.
So, is Pano still on Elmwood or what are we talking about?
What's crazy as it is, but it has not opened or reopened since COVID. And there's a lot of construction going on there, but it's a great place. We love it for breakfast. Yeah. And maybe every 6 months I look at someone and go, when is Panos going to open again? Panos, right? But anyway, and nobody seems to know. So I don't know if it's going to reopen, but there's a lot. You got to get back here, man. It looks a lot different, and there's a lot of cool things. Buffalo's downtown is thriving. It's a great city.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I'd love to see it come back on the rise. And it's cool to see that and be in this awesome place that I love so much in Seattle. I'll tell you what, I can't wait for when I don't know the advanced years ahead schedule off the top of my head, but whenever the Seahawks return the game in Buffalo, I assume a few years down the road, we'll have to make a party of it, man. How's that sound?
No doubt. Wings on me when you do, for sure.
Hey, now you're talking. I did have a layover in the Buffalo airport. When was it? Oh, it was covering the Mariners in the playoffs when they were in Toronto. It wasn't a layover. I think we flew in and out of Buffalo.
Yes.
And so there was an Anchor Bar in the airport. And I know Duff's is the place, but yes.
No, it's okay. Listen, everybody says Anchor Bar Duff's, and there's nothing wrong with going to those places because they are nostalgic and they have the originals. But there's so many hidden gems for wings in Buffalo. When people come in, you tell them where to really go for the best wings. Those places are not bad. And it's like if you go to Philly, you got to go to Geno's, right? For a Philly cheesesteak, right? It's what you have to do, even though someone goes, well, it's not the best place. That's what we do with our wings here.
Yeah. And likewise, when you're here, we have to, I got to give the seafood tour for you. How about that?
There you go. Oh, yeah. I love it for sure. Let me know.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I know, you know all about this place. You've covered games here before.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see the atmosphere Lumen is always loud. The Seahawks have a little bit of momentum. and it's a marquee opponent in Josh and the Bills. So that's our Seattle perspective on it, but to lead this conversation off, how are the Bills feeling right now? Obviously, picking up some momentum of their own, not just with a win, but in the trade market as well. Just what's the vibe in Orchard Park as they head out here to the Pacific Northwest?
Well, it definitely, as you guys just said a little while ago, it's what have you done for me lately? And the Bills had a 2-game losing streak. They won 3 in a row, and everybody's like, oh my God, look at this, 3 in a row. They're the same old Bills again. This is great. And all of a sudden they get blown out by the Baltimore Ravens. By the way, incredible stat. First time the Bills had lost a game by more than one score in 49 games.
Wow.
I mean, they had the NFL record. They're so tough to beat. They play close games. When they lose, it's always close, but in that game, that wasn't. And they got blown out by the Ravens. Then they go to the Texans, lose a close game. Now it's 2 in a row. The offense is sputtering. And now here comes the sky is falling. You know the way fans are. And then they go to the New York on a Monday night. They win. And then they come back against Tennessee. They struggle early. They wind up winning. They win 2 in a row. But I want to go back to really the offseason, guys, which is so many people told us and thought, oh, this is going to be a step back here. Look at all these guys that are no longer on the team, from Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer and Saran Neal, and the list goes on. And they went a little bit younger. Brandon Beane called it a transition year. The Bills had steadfastly said, no, I mean, it's going to be transition, but, we're just going to do it a different way here because we have to with the salary cap. And then they go out there and, oh, by the way, right now they have a 3.5 game lead, 2.5, 3-game lead in the AFC East already because the rest of the division is just not good. So what the vibes are is a bunch of fans going, holy heck, like when can they wrap up this division and get on with the playoffs?
Right. Yeah. And I think that it's funny because the Seahawks are in first place, but it's almost like they fell back into it. They lose 3 in a row, they get 1 win, and then lo and behold, the Niners lose to the Chiefs. And it's been a roller coaster here because you think about it, you lose Pete Carroll, who was here for 14 years. And everybody, I think Mike McDonald is a great coach. We'll talk more about that in the future, but you win 3 in a row to start your Seahawks career. Everybody's going nuts. Then you lose 3 in a row. And the comments on this podcast that we do, we're all about, bring Pete back.
It was gloom and doom. Everyone was down bad in the comments.
Yeah, but now they're back in first, Naj. And I know, when you look at this too, you and I have kind of really harped on that Seahawks defense. And I think it's kind of evolving. Boy, they have a tough test ahead, They do have a tough test ahead. I want to ask you, Sal. I mean, They have a tough test ahead. They have a quarterback. They're playing against a quarterback that has not thrown a pick all year. And you mentioned a lot of subtractions from the Bills roster. What's the vibes with Josh Allen right now? He's riding high right now.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I mean, he's playing differently this year because they've kind of had to play a little bit differently for a couple of reasons, right? They don't have the same wide receivers. We know that. That's why they traded for Amari Cooper last week. They just weren't getting separation, and Josh was really kind of struggling to find guys open a lot of times. He's not running as much, guys. He still has run like close to 40 times, still has some touchdowns. But a big reason for that is he hurt his hand in week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. He's been wearing a glove on his hand, on his left hand. So they've kind of taken a little bit off there, and they just don't want him to be in harm's way. And they now have a 1-2 punch in James Cook and Ray Davis to say, you don't have to do that. We have guys who can, take the load off there for you. So they've been playing a little bit different, a little bit more conservative, leading more into the run game. But Josh also, for his part, he's been taking care of the football so much better than he ever has in his career. Now, granted, 0 interceptions is the number, but Josh will be the first to tell you he's thrown interceptions. They've just dropped him, right? So he's been a little bit lucky too. He's thrown a few to guys that they just haven't grabbed it. But look, he's playing good football, obviously. He's seeing the field well. He's making good decisions, and that's what the Buffalo Bills like about him. And he is a fantastic player. For my money, he's still, to me, the top 2 player in the league behind Patrick Mahomes, right? I guess you give him that. But Mahomes is struggling with his numbers right now, and you look at what Josh is doing, Lamar's doing. Josh is certainly up there again as one of the elite NFL quarterbacks and an MVP candidate again.
Yeah, I'll tell you this too. Sal, this is my main question for you when we line this up. The Achilles heel of the Seahawks has to be its offensive line. I mean, it is not even a work in progress right now. I mean, good for Geno Smith to be leading the league in passing yards and doing what he's doing. He's got no time to throw the ball. They threw in a 6th-round draft pick from a Division II school in Findlay last week and Michael Jarrell to start. He did really well, but I'm just kind of giving you the picture of the situation. They had to bring in Jason Peters at 42 years old off the street a couple weeks ago.
We know very well, started his career here in Buffalo.
Exactly. Yeah. And listen, we all love Jason Peters, future Hall of Famer, all that. But it kind of speaks to the situation when you're bringing somebody in. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being in your 40s, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're bringing that sort of, talent in to kind of bolster that offensive line. How worried should Seahawks fans be knowing the issues with that offensive line about the Bills defense and their ability to kind of generate pass rush and put Geno Smith under duress on Sunday?
Well, I think it's going to be a concern considering what you just said. Obviously, one thing that will help is being at home in that stadium. It's not a super loud environment when they're on the field offensively, so they can go, they can try and go with different kinds of counts and cadences and, motion and things like that to kind of play with the Bills on the other side of the ball. Von Miller isn't back yet. He's serving his 4-game suspension. He has 1 game remaining. He's actually played really well when he's been on the field for the Buffalo Bills early this season. But behind him, last week, Greg Rousseau had 6 quarterback hits in 1 game. I looked it up, guys. Nobody has had, there's been, I think, in 2 years, all of last year and into this year, 6 quarterback hits in 1 game. He had 3 sacks in the opening week. He had another sack last week. He's playing really good football right now. AJ Epinesa had a couple of sacks against Aaron Rodgers. He was very good last week as well. But the problem is sometimes the consistency. They're very good. They come in bunches. Sometimes we say, where's that Bills pass rush? It's gotta be better than that. But I will tell you this, Sean McDermott is a great defensive mind. Like Mike McDonald, young defensive mind that you guys have there in Seattle right now. Sean McDermott's going to probably play some games up front with that offensive line to get them to think where are guys coming from, where are they not coming from. And I do think that the Bills defensive line can control the Seahawks offensive line, but that's going to be the key part of this game to make sure that the Seahawks can't do anything up front, because if they can, they may be able to run on the Bills. Their Achilles heel this year has been their run defense. Now they're 30th, I believe, in yards per play allowed on the ground after this past week. But teams have run the ball on the Bills on a per play basis because the Bills are really set up to stop the pass. They're a little bit undersized. They're a penetrating defense up front.
God, and you're talking about being set up to stop the pass. The Seahawks may not have one of the biggest pass catchers.
Yeah, we gotta wait and see on DK.
Yeah, we gotta wait and see on DK. But I want to ask you about the Bills offense again. I mean, you talked about a lot of subtractions that they've had this past offseason. You mentioned Amari Cooper. He played his first week last week, and he was famously asking Keon Coleman where exactly he should line up. I want to ask you about Keon Coleman. He's a great rookie.
Yeah.
Is he as unhinged as as he has been with the national media, with the local media? Because he's a hoot, man.
He's just such a great kid. He's so funny. He was 20 years old when he was drafted. He wasn't even old enough to buy a beer here when he came to Buffalo, right? It's pretty crazy. But he wore the big yellow coat in that first press conference. He's asking for candy. He's just a kid. He has a great personality. He loves football, though. He really loves football. And what you saw last week was his kind of coming out party. And I think what you really saw from him is what we've been seeing from training camp, which is this guy, even though he doesn't have top end speed, he really gets separation in different ways, and he's really good with the ball in his hands. And that's because he's got such great body control and balance. Let's remember, you'll appreciate this, Niko, as a Syracuse basketball fan, that Keon Coleman played basketball at Michigan State and football.
Oh,
and then he transferred. Yeah. And then and he's a guard. He was a guard at Michigan State, by the way. All right. I mean, think about his body control with the ball in his hands, right? And now playing in the NFL level. And, he wasn't a big man. He's able to go up and get the ball and high point it. But look, the numbers haven't been truly there, I think, for what people want up until last week. But there's no coincidence. It comes with Amari Cooper now here. With Amari Cooper, everything has opened up for the Bills. Khalil Shakir has the #1 catch rate in the NFL. He catches everything thrown his way. Dalton Kincaid is a fantastic tight end. But individually, these guys aren't separators. But what they needed was somebody to take a little bit off them to be able to separate. And then finally, when you saw that last week, that's when you saw it all come together. The Titans had the #1 pass defense in the league, and Josh Allen threw for over 300 yards on him last week.
Oof. And that's tough, especially with Reek Woolen being out this week too.
Exactly, yeah, Reek Woolen, and we love Reek Woolen.
Maybe
guy
being out.
Seahawks found in the 5th round of 2022.
I loved Reek Woolen, by the way.
Right?
I really wanted him. It was the year that Kyrie Elam was drafted in the 1st round by the Bills.
Yes.
And I really liked him and Trent McDuffie, and obviously they're both playing fantastic now.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Trent's a UW guy, so we're fond of him in Seattle. And Reek, by the way, is the coolest guy too. He's he's our go-to on KOMO, and he watches KOMO News, which how many young 20-something-year-olds watch KOMO News in the NFL when they're busy game planning. So we'll always be appreciative of that. Sal, I want to look big picture for a minute here because the Bills are obviously among the NFL's elite. They're always right there. This championship window, sometimes those things can be narrow, but as long as Josh is being Josh like he is this year, that window's open. What is the sense around the organization? When you make a move like trading for Amari Cooper and bolstering the line and maybe addition by subtraction when you trade Stephon Diggs. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know.
Right.
But what is the feeling you get around the organization about this year specifically? Maybe this is that opportunity to finally get over that playoff hump and get back to that promised land for the first time since the early 90s. Is that how do you feel about that? What's the feeling around the organization about that championship window and about this year specifically, maybe being the year that so many have been waiting so long to see again?
So let's take big picture, and then I'll narrow it down to this year. And What you said is absolutely right. Anytime I would go on these kinds of shows, radio shows around the country in the offseason, everybody would ask me, well, is this a step back year for the Bills, a rebuild year? They had to tear the Band-Aid off because of the salary cap. And I would say, look, it's going to be different, but as long as you have 17, you have a chance to win, right? As long as you have 17 under center, you have a chance to win a championship. That's just the way it goes. You have an elite quarterback. And I think that's the way the Bills felt, which is, look, we're going to have to do things different, but we have Josh Allen and we have a great defensive mind as a head coach. So as long as we can play, if we have to play lower scoring games, we'll be able to score enough points. We'll be okay. We're still going to be in this thing. We think we can win our division. Well, guess what, guys? A funny thing happened on the way to week 7 and leading by 2.5 games. Suddenly the division stinks outside the Bills. Suddenly the Chiefs, even though they're undefeated, have a whole bunch of injuries. The Bengals aren't what we thought they were. Yes, the Ravens are very good, but now the Bills have a true look at it again, right? I mean, they're looking around going, wait a minute. Like, we're back kind of where we've been the last few years. We have a chance here for a top 3 seed in the AFC. So they go out and they do trade for Amari Cooper because they need help at wide receiver. The feeling is they're going for it, guys. They're going for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they make another move before the trade deadline to bring in even more help. Plus, there's been speculation. Could they go out and bring Micah Hyde back, who has never officially retired, right? And they may need a little help at safety. Let's remember, Matt Milano's probably going to come back in December. He's an all-pro linebacker they have not had on the field because of a biceps injury. So, like, this is a team that not only feels good about kind of where they are right now, but obviously the window with Josh Allen going forward in big picture. But this year, I think even maybe surprising to where they would be now, they're saying we can go for this thing and we can try and do it again.
Seattle has their work cut out from them.
I'm hearing that. I'm like, I hope they get back. The Seahawks get to that point against them.
I know. I'm sitting here. I'm like, I'm a little concerned.
And
here.
they might.
They
well,
might.
Listen, I will say this though, guys. I'm not going to paint all rainbows and roses. They have some issues. There's no doubt.
Sure.
And if you talk to the fan base, like you asked me what the organization thinks, but look, I do a talk show here on WGR Sports Radio 550, and I hear from the fans all the time on social media. Like, you talk about Mike McDonald in his first year and fans being upset. I mean, Sean McDermott, all he's done is won 4 straight AFC division titles, and most of the fan base does not like him. They don't really want him as the head coach anymore. Most of the fan base, not all of it, because of the fact that they just haven't gotten to a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. The fact that they've blown a lot of games late in games for different reasons over the last several years. 13 seconds in Kansas City, late against Denver, too many men on the field, the Hail Mary at the end of the first half, late minute situations in games. And look, I'm a Sean McDermott defender. I get accused of that a lot because I think he's a fantastic head coach. And if he was fired tomorrow, he'd have a job in 1 hour, basically. I mean, so many teams would want him. And the Bills have a really great, what all organizations really crave and want. And that is alignment from the owner to the GM to the head coach. You guys had that with Pete Carroll there for many years. How important is that to always then have a chance to win, right? And that's what Sean McDermott and his staff gives. But I'm telling you, fans here, they do not wait. The first opportunity they get to criticize something about Sean McDermott, they will do it because they're just waiting to tell you he is not the guy to take him to a Super Bowl.
Interesting. Oof. That from afar, you think of McDermott, you're like, oh, he's a great coach. But I suppose that's true with every fan base. You're not satisfied. People were a little upset when Pete was let go here, but he's just an institution. Sal, I want to get back to this one specifically because it is a genuine concern and question I have, or not a concern rather, but a question. Seahawks fans watching this show, listening to this show, looking at this game, knowing the Bills are who they are and all that. What's the number one thing a Seahawks fan should be looking for, maybe concerned about? What's your key to this? I know that's a broad thing. What's the first thing that comes to your mind for a Seahawks fan, what they should be watching, maybe a key for the Buffalo Bills to win this game potentially?
Well, I do think it starts with Josh Allen on the offense. Now, you can tell me, guys, because I'm obviously from afar. I'm not dialed in. They're not even AFC East team as far as the Seahawks, but I look some of the numbers, and I look at the points given up per game by the Seahawks. And yes, only 14 last week to a nice offense. But before that, 36, 29. I know it was the special teams at the end, but to the Giants, right? 42 to the Detroit Lions. Yes, great offense. But it just seems like they can be scored on, in different ways by different teams. And I think the Bills with Amari Cooper now, with James Cook at running back, present just so many different ways to be able to attack you. I think that's, to me, what the Bills will look to do in this one. So this could be a high-scoring game, honestly, I think, because of the way that Seattle can throw the football, obviously, with Geno and some of the weapons they have, the way that the Bills have not been able to really stop the run. But I think the Bills have opportunity to score in this game, and I think that's what I'd be most concerned about on that side.
Yeah, and you said something that stood out to me a minute ago about the Bills and the ability to stop the run. Kenneth Walker, Najee, I know he's your favorite. He played with the flu on Sunday, Sal, and he still had 70 yards. He was like Michael Jordan out there, 2 touchdowns. But yeah, so that's my thing. I'm watching it exactly what you said on the Seahawks defense. We think they may have solidified it with guys getting healthy. maybe a mini bye week to adjust, but also can the Seahawks run game, almost like you're back with Coach Carroll, can they get that going? Naj, what are you looking at?
I'm just concerned for Geno. I feel like he'll be running for his life the whole entire time because I'm concerned about those 7 quarterback pressures by Greg Russo. Sal, you said that you think this will be a high scoring game, and I think I agree with you. Do you want to give us a score prediction here?
There you go.
I don't know about prediction. Let's see, but I don't know. I think both teams. Yeah, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to tell you that I think the Bills should win this game and can win this game. They're favored for a reason. They're on the road going to the West Coast. They're favored by 3 points. That sounds about right to me. I could see like a 27-24 if that's considered a high scoring game, something like that, maybe 30-27, somewhere in there. But I think that there's a possibility for that. Look, the Bills are the 5th highest scoring team in the NFL right now, despite having a couple of weeks where they really didn't score that much, because when they've scored, they've come in bunches, whether that was early against Arizona, at home against Jacksonville, at home against Tennessee, right? I mean, they've scored a lot of points in certain games. It's kind of been a little bit of feast or famine, but so far it's been mostly feast. And then they got back on track last week. Last week, guys, they were down at halftime. They were down 10-7. They won 34-10. I mean, they scored 27 points. They had 34 unanswered points against a very, very good Tennessee Titans team, at least numbers wise. So that's why I think it could be a higher scoring game. It could be a game that goes a little bit back and forth. I'm just hoping the weather holds off so we can have that.
Yeah, and that's just it. The weather. I think it's going to be kind of a misty drizzle. Yeah. Seattle special in October.
You're never going to get a huge downpour here, honestly. I mean, I think you're going to we call it spitting.
Except that here. Eagles game last year, I was drenched.
Yeah, that was a mess. Yes.
Well, you asked for his prediction, Naj. What do you have going here?
I know the Seahawks are kind of like they're looking to build a bit of a streak here, coming with that momentum from Atlanta. Look, as I'm a Giants fan, Sal. I'm not sure if you know.
He's from Bronx, right?
I'm from the Bronx, and I can tell you that I look.
You see you can't see. He's got a Yankees hoodie on.
You can't see. I'm wearing my Yankees hoodie right now, man.
God, Sal, you're the best. I love you already. Here's the thing. And I look at, as a Giants fan, I look at Josh Allen with a little bit of jealousy in my eyes, a little bit, given the history. But I will still, I still think Buffalo will win this game. Yeah. And I hope I'm wrong. I was wrong last week, though. But I just don't see Geno. Geno is going to be running for his life the entire time. May not have DK Metcalf. A couple other things. Maybe not Reek Will. And I think those are 2 key guys.
Yeah, and I think it hinges on that. For me, the Seahawks, if DK and Reek are both out, I mean, that's really tough to win any game,
it is.
Let alone a Super Bowl caliber team like Buffalo. I'm kind of with you both. I think it's going to be a close game.
And I wonder, too, guys, you answered me this. The next week, it's a division game against the Rams. Would that maybe factor even into, Woolen or, DK and what they do with them this weekend,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's possible the Rams are not doing so hot this year, but, you want a division win. So,
and that's one thing Mike McDonald said. DK is going to do everything humanly possible. One thing with DK, he's on the injury report every week because he's always fighting something, yet he's only missed 1 game in his career because he is kind of a warrior out there. So, hopefully both teams are full strength. I know we're going to get a good one, and I can't wait to see you down here. Sal, my goodness, man. Thanks for joining us. I can't wait to see you here at Lumen Field, and I hope you get to enjoy a little bit of the Pacific Northwest in your time here, man.
No doubt. I cannot wait to get there. We haven't been there since 2016. This, so you guys know, and I'll shout out to all the people, the natives in Seattle. What do you call people in Seattle? What are their
Seattleites?
Seattleites. All right. So all the Seattleites should know that when the schedule came out, like this was number 1 on Bills fans' list for destination cities to go to this year and hang out. Now, you're going to get a lot of Bills Mafia out there. All right. Now, there's some cities they take over. I don't know about that because this fan base in Seattle is great. Obviously, they're not dumping all their tickets, but I know a lot of Bills Mafia is going to be headed out to Seattle. You got a big contingent on the West Coast of Bills Mafia. But the point I'm making is that people have a healthy respect for how beautiful that city is, and they wanted to make sure they got out there this year when they knew the Bills were traveling.
If I see any broken tables, I'm blaming you specifically, okay?
That might happen. Check the airports. They'll be checking them in, no doubt. And by the way, go Orange and go Yankees.
There you have it.
Let's go.
It's just like merging Seattle and upstate New York sports. Like I love it.
Yeah.
Sal, where can our audience find you if they want to see more about your coverage of the Bills?
Yeah, for sure. This week, if anybody wants to check in on what's going on with the Bills, just follow me. Hit me up at Sal Sports. That's all my social channels. I'm just lucky there. I got Twitter is at Sal Sports, YouTube channel, which you're going to be on my YouTube podcast. It's always Game Day in Buffalo with our buddy Matt Bove this week as well. But check us out at Sal Sports on Twitter and YouTube and WGR Sports Radio 550.
Awesome. Sal Capaccio, my guy. Really appreciate your time, brothers. Thank you.
You got it, guys. Be well.
Absolutely. Sal Capaccio from Buffalo. He is awesome. And like I said, he and I go way back, and I think the audience gets the sense that he is a great guy. We loved having him on.
Sal's awesome. I was gonna ask him how he likes his wings. He's had big buffalo wings.
Oh well, he can. He's probably still listening. He can text us. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, he's still right there.
Got you. All right, so I'm a medium guy, but I love there's the honey garlic barbecue is like the new flavor that everybody loves here in Buffalo. That so many, I shouldn't say new, but so many people are going to. I'm a medium guy. I like him a little bit crispy. My son's more mild. He's only 10, so he's not quite with the spice yet. But now he loves barbecue. You go to any great wing spot in Buffalo, you're going to get a whole different bunch of flavors.
Oh God,
that doesn't get through TSA though, does it?
No.
Sal, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, so Najee, that was a really good introduction to the Bills, and that was the idea. Is that, like Sal was saying, like we're kind of on opposite ends of the country. You don't know a ton about the AFCs, other than obviously, we saw the Dolphins and Patriots earlier this year. This is going to be a tough test. I don't know which way it's going to go because I think it really is. If the Seahawks are healthy, by healthy I mean relatively with DK and Reek, then okay, this is anybody's game just because it's at Lumen Field. They got the 12s behind them, right? But it's going to be tough. Regardless,
we saw what a healthy-ish defense can do against a proper offense on the road last week, and I think that that was music to a lot of Seahawks fans' ears. Just seeing the all just defense flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
That being said, Buffalo is a stud of a team.
Yeah.
If
Seattle can get this win. This town is euphoric. Everybody's looking forward to January.
If the Seahawks can get this game, this is the win of the year so far.
Yeah, I agree.
I think even up until now, it was last week. So if you can stack up a win against Atlanta in Atlanta, bringing Buffalo to town, I think that'd be huge.
Right.
Yeah, just to keep stacking up the wins going into the divisional game against the Rams.
That would be the natural. Oh, sorry, I keep trying to. I'm trying to say that would be the natural progression. But keep going. Yeah.
No, that'd be the natural progression. Now I'm not sure if Seahawks fans would like the whole win 3, lose 3, win 3. Can you imagine?
Right.
Oh God, that's very stressful. But no, and when we saw your comments last week, we know, up until the Atlanta win, we just didn't. The vibes were not great.
I do like that there was one fan, and kudos to the fan for having the courage to predict, but they picked 33-13 Atlanta.
I know.
And somebody was like, "Hey, flip that around,
hey,
buddy."
Turn it around. Yeah, I know. And we appreciate all the views and all the comments.
Yeah, honestly, we're so happy to bring this to you. We're just getting started with it, and it's so cool because we are in the locker room, we are in the at the VMAC, we are on the field at Lumen, and we're able to talk to these guys and get a better sense. And same idea with Sal being on the Bills sidelines, why he was so informative and able to give that to us. We got a couple minutes left here, Najee. I do want to do our fantasy football advice here. I'll go first because I kind of sprung this on you last second.
No, it's okay.
My fantasy football advice would be, and I'm not trying to be a homer,
to beat Najee, unlike something that he did this past week. Oh wait, he didn't
about
do
that.
This.
There was one point where Najee was beating me by 200ths of a point.
Yeah,
but you were led to victory. Who led you to victory? Was it James Conner?
It was James Conner. It was Derrick Henry. It was Rashad Bateman. It was essentially the entire Ravens roster that I have on the team right now. Here's the thing.
I was Chris Godwin. I was like rooting for extra yards, and we hope he has a speedy recovery. And it was just like, oh gosh, why do they have him still in the game? Like I worry more about this guy's health, obviously.
When Monday night started, I was losing to Niko. I had scored 29
like
points.
70 points. Or
70 points, and I ended up winning.
That's
by
funny.
Like 6. And
that was crazy.
So just want to make sure you guys know that
Najee beat Niko.
Yes,
I will admit it. By 6 points, you beat me.
Carry on, Niko.
And you're ahead of me in the standings. If the playoffs started today, I would be out.
Yes,
but there's a long way to go.
But please give the people your fantasy.
Well, speaking of Monday Night Football, the Bucs suddenly are without 2 receivers.
Yeah,
and so my fantasy advice would be, hey, Dogs fans, be homers on this one. Mm-hmm. Cade Otton already had 100 yards receiving last night with Godwin when he's in the game, and now he's out, of course, and we hope he has a speedy recovery. But also, with Godwin and Mike Evans out, the wide receiving position, and you're talking about a guy, Jalen McMillan, former Dog, that's going to get a lot more looks.
Yeah.
So depending on who's available in your league, Otton might be harder to get than McMillan would be.
I think so.
But take a look at both guys, and if they're available, scoop them up and spend a little bit of your free agency money and see what can happen there.
I am leaning. That's a great analysis and great advice. I'm leaning towards a Seahawk that I think is going to see the ball, especially a lot more. If DK Metcalf doesn't play, I'm talking about Noah Fant.
Yeah,
the tight end. Now he's been
on PPR, my PPR. He's great.
He's been on my bench the past couple of weeks because I just couldn't figure out where to put him. But the past couple of weeks, this past week, he scored me about 10 points. He could have used that to put more of a gap between me and Niko. And and the past couple of weeks, he's been very consistent.
Yeah.
I do think that if DK Metcalf doesn't play, even if he does play, how 100% will he be?
Yeah.
He wants to be out there, of course. And I think, when your quarterback is getting rushed, when he's running across the field, when he's running for his life like Geno is, who's the best friend? Either a running back or a tight end. So if you can pick up Noah Fant, he's probably available. I mean, in the KOMO League, as we mentioned before, we have a 17-person roster with 14 teams in it. So he's not available, but I think in many 10-team leagues he probably will be, since he's not nationally known as an upper echelon tight end, but I do believe that he will be good in this matchup, especially as a dump off guy for Geno Smith.
Absolutely. Najee, this was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
This has been good. It's been good.
We appreciate all of you guys tuning into the KOMO Sports End Zone. He's Najee. I'm Niko. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Thanks to Sal Capaccio. Follow him at Sal Sports. Until then, hey, we're going to see everybody at Lumen Field. That place is going to be rocking on Sunday. Take care.
Bye.